All right.
So yeah, it's this review
Step it off,
of the
you like.
Deviant. Issue 9 came out a couple of weeks ago, and it's you guys know I'm a Tynan stan. I love most things Tynan. I particularly love this book right from the beginning. It feels like a movie that should be made, and I just love the whole vibe of this book. The art from Joshua Hickson just really works in this book, and I'm really proud of this video that me, Cliff on Comics, and John's Comics with Kids put together reviewing this.
Right. So get your popcorn, and once again, if you have not seen it, if you have not read the book and you want to read the book, you might want to, step out and turn the volume down, or
it's 9 minutes and 1 second long.
9 minutes and 1 second long. So you got time to maybe go down the street and get some beer and come back. So it depends on where you live. So, but if you have read it, I advise you to watch this, because this is a great video. And man, here it is.
What happens when your first realization of who you are is tied to something monstrous? For Michael, discovering his queerness came not from love or acceptance, but from whispers about Randall's crimes. A story that framed being gay as something dangerous. But The Deviant is not a murder mystery. It's a haunting journey into identity, obsession, and self-discovery, where finding the truth about yourself can be far scarier than finding a killer. The Deviant doesn't just explore queerness and deviance, it weaponizes that tension to show how dangerous societal narratives can be. What stands out to me is how Michael internalizes that fear so deeply that it doesn't just shape his identity, it limits his capacity for intimacy. Look at how Michael pushes Derek away. His inability to fully trust or let Derek in is a direct result of associating his queerness with danger. Michael doesn't just fear being seen as a deviant, he fears that embracing his identity might hurt the people he cares about. And that's where The Deviant really hits hard. It asks what happens when fear not only distorts how you see yourself, but how you let others love you. That's the emotional core that lingers long after the last page.
I think my favorite stuff is usually connected with the time jumps and the way they explain or expand upon emotions that characters are dealing with in time. So it gives it that almost True Detective, I guess, kind of vibe where characters can be informed by the past, and yet we as the reader can see how that has impacted their decision making and the kinds of people they are.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're diving deep into The Deviant, a psychological thriller from James Tynan IV and Joshua Hickson that blends horror with emotional depth in a way that leaves you thinking long after you turn the last page. Set against the chilling backdrop of Milwaukee during Christmas, past and present, Deviant tells the story of Michael, a man haunted by his own identity, as he uncovers truths that force him to confront not just a killer, but himself. At its core, The Deviant explores the intersection of queerness and deviance, and how societal narratives can warp self-perception. Michael's obsession with Randall, the convicted killer from 1973, is not about solving a mystery. It's about confronting the fears that have shaped his identity since childhood. Michael grew up in Milwaukee during a time when being gay was whispered about like a scandal, something dangerous, something deviant. His first exposure to queerness came through the chilling lens of Randall's case, an association that planted seeds of fear and self-loathing. This fear followed Michael into adulthood, making him question whether his desires were somehow wrong. And that's where his obsession with Randall begins, not as a search for justice, but as a desperate attempt to understand himself. But while Michael's obsession is about self-discovery, Roger, the 2023 killer, represents the darker side of obsession. Roger, a prison guard obsessed with Randall's past, was consumed by desire for control. He didn't want answers. He wanted to own the narrative of the deviant killer, molding it to fit his twisted desires. Both Michael and Roger are obsessed with the deviant killer, but for entirely different reasons. Michael's journey is about peeling back layers of fear and shame, while Roger's is about power and manipulation. One seeks understanding, the other seeks control.
Michael, I feel, is trying to learn about himself. Michael is having the journey of discovery. Michael is trying to figure out what queerness is, and he's learning about it kind of all the wrong ways at the time. His first exposure to queerness is this murderer. And then his buddy there who was like, oh, that's gay, that's queer, this is weird. Oh, look, this is gay porn. Huh? So there's all of that going on. Roger obviously came from a more restrictive situation. And one thing with this series is we do not get to know too much about Roger. What we do know is that for Roger, it's about power. He does share that with us in the final issue. You must have felt so powerful. Roger's journey, as dark as it is about having power over his perceived deviance.
Michael's obsession is vulnerable. He's trying to understand something that terrifies him. He's peeling back layers of fear and shame, and that's a process that requires openness and pain. Roger, on the other hand, his obsession is defensive. It's about taking control of a narrative that scares him. Roger doesn't want to confront the truth. He wants to reshape it, to own it. And that's the real danger with Roger. His obsession isn't about understanding. It's about erasing anything that threatens his sense of power. The Deviant draws a chilling line between obsession rooted in vulnerability and obsession fueled by control. And that's what makes Roger so terrifying, because sometimes the most dangerous person in the room is the one who refuses to feel powerless. But what if the danger doesn't stop there? What if the true killer of 1973 is still unknown? To fully appreciate the emotional weight of the Deviant, you have to understand the characters who drive the story. Michael is our protagonist, a man haunted by internalized fear and self-doubt. His interviews with Randall are less about getting answers and more about reconciling his own feelings of deviance and queerness.
I think Michael is dealing with self-hate. I think he has felt for so long that he is some kind of a monster that now he has discovered a sympathy for this monster, the demon, the deviant monster, the killer in this story. It's tragic in some ways that he has gotten to a place where it's easier for him to connect with somebody who's an outcast than it is for him to connect with society at large. And that's very tragic, and it makes you sympathize and connect with Michael. I think it stems from this self-hatred.
Agent Hall, an openly gay and confident FBI agent, serves as a foil to Michael. Where Michael struggles with his identity, Hall embodies self-assurance, proudly displaying his sexuality, even with small gestures like his green fingernails.
Agent Hall is confident. He's self-assured. He is fully realized in who he is. Part of his journey appears to be that there was no time for self-realization. It's like you are what you are, and that's it. I feel his effect on Michael is Michael seeing someone so self-actualized that it's a motivator for him.
What's fascinating about Agent Hall for me is that his confidence isn't just a foil to Michael's insecurity. It's a reminder of what Michael believes he can never be. Hall is unapologetically himself. He exists in a space where queerness and power can coexist, which is something Michael never imagined was possible. But here's where it gets interesting. Hall's confidence isn't just inspiring, it's alienating. To Michael, Hall feels like an impossible standard. It's not just that Michael wants to be like Hall, it's that he doesn't believe he can. Hall's presence forces Michael to confront the idea that maybe the world he's feared isn't as unforgiving as he was taught to believe. And that's a terrifying thought, because if Michael's fears were wrong, then what has he been running from all these years? Randall, the convicted killer, becomes the lens through which Michael confronts his fears. But despite being labeled a murderer, Randall never confessed to the 1973 killings, leaving the truth shrouded in doubt. Roger, the 2023 killer, is a twisted mirror of Michael. His obsession with Randall leads him down a dark path, one that turns deadly when he seeks to recreate the past. And yet, the most chilling question remains unanswered. Who really committed the murders in 1973?
All right. If The Deviant continues in another volume, I think a great book for Michael to write is a follow-up to the 1973 murders, because why should we not try to help Randall in the present and clear his name? There is stuff clearly there from the past, like the dude who's killed in the department store Santa chair. What is that? Who was he? Why? And then, of course, knowing that the original mask, that if you wore them, it would like cut your face. So there's like clues that it could be somebody. There's some relationship something there. I think a follow-up awesome story would be like, hey, let's try to clear Randall's name.
The Deviant isn't just a story about a killer. It's about the monsters we create when we let fear define who we are. For Michael, confronting the Deviant killer was never about solving a mystery. It was about proving that he is more than the deviants he was taught to fear. If the Deviant has left you with questions or thoughts, drop them in the comments. Do you think Randall was innocent? And where do you think Michael's journey goes next? Hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into comics like this, and I'll see you in the next one.
Bruh, I love that second song, Sapphiros Falling. It's so good.
Yes. Great job, son. Great job.
That's the best thing I've done. It's not the thing that I've gotten the most views with, but it is by far the best thing I've done, in my opinion.
It is excellent. And Cliff and John are what, man,
they killed it.
Great. Yeah, I could not have made it any better. I've only brought it down.
Nah, you would have been a great voice to have. Like, we definitely need to get you in there. We're gonna do more, and I definitely want to collaborate with people again. So this won't be the last video like this.
Good. I hope not. I hope not. Man, that's excellent.
Thank you to everybody saying nice things. I appreciate it.
What I was curious, what editing software did you use for that? That's not iTunes you use to make that, is it?
Well, I use different. So, to edit the video, to edit the clips, I use iMovie. To build the graphics, to build the graphic overlays, I use PowerPoint.
Oh, okay. That's why it makes them slide into this place. Like, okay, that's why I don't use PowerPoint. That's why I would. Okay, yeah. Oh wow, that's very well done. Very well done. And the thing about it, I really think there is going to be another. Depends on how long it's going to be, but at some point, there's got to be another volume. There's so many unanswered questions.
There really is. Like, we didn't get anything on 1973, right? You know, and I knew that the 9th issue wasn't going to do everything I wanted it to do. I knew that it wasn't going to be possible, but I felt like it did more than enough to make it a good book. So I loved it.
Me too. And lots of I've forgotten, like Cliff mentioned about I forgot about the guy in the chair and the mask and all that. So I should have reread it like you did. You know, I'm just gonna read number 9.
Yeah, I read that thing like 6 times, dude. I read the fuck out of that book. Because, you know, just trying to figure out what I wanted to say, what the themes were that I wanted to focus on. So I read it a lot of times.
Yeah, I'll bet you're not far from the truth there with that. There might be. And I think Russell's the name of the guy that's in prison. Or what's the guy that's in prison now?
Randall. So yeah, there's definitely 2 killers. We have the 2023 killer, which we know is Roger, but then the 1973 killer that Randall was convicted of. You might think that Randall did it. I don't think he did.
I don't think he did.
It's not outside the realm of possibility that he really is guilty. I really don't think he is, but it's very possible he is.
Yeah.
And so there's definitely 2 killers, 73 and 23.
Yeah, I really think that's gonna, man, just the question of when they make it. You know, maybe it takes some, because he's so busy right now. He probably doesn't have time to even just write it, but he's probably got it in here somewhere. Like, oh yeah, I got this place I want to go with that.
If they do, I need Joshua Hickson back on the art.
Joshua Hickson definitely gets a thumbs up. Yeah,
I'm gonna be pissed if it's not him.
Hopefully he's not busy at the time. So that'd be awesome. All right, well, I hate to follow that, but then let me see what I got here to just pull out of my you know what here. And the first thing I want to talk about is the Martian Manhunter, the absolute version, that is. And this is from Ron V. Dennis Camp and Javier Rodriguez.
And what did he write? I'm blanking. What did Dennis Camp write?
Dennis Camp is actually writing right now, I want to say, the Ultimates for Marvel. I think he is writing the Ultimates right now. They said he's doing
the 20th Century Man.
Oh, yeah, that too. That was a good book.
I bought that book and I never actually read it, so I should pull that out and read it, because I did pull it, but I never read it. Now that I'm thinking about it,
yeah, I mean, maybe get the trade, because it's probably in trade form by now.
No, I have it. I just didn't read it.
You have the whole series? I think it's.
I bought it. Yeah. Sometimes I forget to read it. Yeah.
Same here. Martian Manhunter. I don't know much about him other than he's green. He's from Mars. The name is John Jones on Earth, and doesn't like fire. But you don't even have to know anything about that character to jump into this book and enjoy it. It begins,
and that's the beauty of the absolute. I'm sorry, that's the beauty of the absolute universe. Yeah,
that's their intent. Yeah, like people that, you know, it's too much legacy with DC and Marvel, so we want people to just be able to just buy our books and jump right on in.
The art, XIC, the art is crazy in this book.
Oh my God. It's like color therapy. I always say that. And the first page, you can see John Jones, this person on Earth who was an FBI agent, is caught in an explosion in a coffee shop, and miraculously he survives. When we joined the story, he's at the doctor's office. He was saying, like, they're like, wow, you're in really great shape to have been in an explosion. And he knows that he's like, he can hear the doctor's thoughts, and it looks like smoke. There's all this colorful smoke everywhere. Everywhere he goes, it looks like, but he just lights up his cigarette and says, like, I guess the smoking is okay in the hospital, because all I see is smoke. But it's not smoke. It's like something, I guess, the people's thoughts. You can see those now. He goes home, and his wife is like, hey, you're not going to take any time off, no vacation. I thought we'd be able to go somewhere since you've been in a literal explosion. Like, no, I'll get back to work. And he just
he lies to her.
Oh, yes. Well, yeah. Maybe that's a part of what his powers are. Now, I guess I don't know what Martian Manhunter's powers are in the mainstream universe, but he clearly is able to hear thoughts. And I guess I don't know what else his powers are, but he can for sure hear thoughts, and maybe see them as colors, which is like part of what makes this book look so beautifully trippy. The colors is like they put these beautiful primary colors up against the more muted colors, and they stand out as you can kind of like see what John is seeing, and his kid like does like I guess his kid makes little like dolls, and he made a doll of his dad and looked kind of like a creature from Mars, which is pretty cool. Gosh, I mean, this is not a lot is revealed in here. But he goes back to the emergency room, and he can see the doctors is like, is really stressed out. He hasn't slept in days. Like, but everything is just like a thing to him. He can see and sense all this stuff, but he doesn't know what's happening. And the last page, I don't want to spoil it, but the last page is a very cool optical illusion. Did you check that out? How you can put it up against the light, and it shows you like his true face, the true face of the Martian Manhunter. Very cool. And I don't want to spoil that for everybody, but it's almost like an interactive last page for this book. And this is the page also where I saw the preview of the Absolute Green Lantern. There's a preview of that in here too. You gonna say something?
Can you really spoil a first issue? I mean, you can spoil a story, but can you really spoil the first issue? I don't think you can.
It was. I didn't think about like that really had an impact on me. So I don't want to like. I want other people to have that same impact.
Yeah.
When they see like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Don't watch my reviews then, because I'm spoiling.
you and Comic Time are the best at spoiling stuff, man. I tell you. Hey, but y'all are both good at making videos, so I can't complain. But yeah, it looks like Martian Manhunter, Absolute Martian Manhunter, don't get it twisted, is going to be something I'm going to be pulling. That's another, damn you, DC. That's another book, even over The Flash, I think. And The Flash wasn't bad. But I like the way this looks. And I think I want to see where is this going as far as what his powers are going to be fully, when they're fully realized what it's going to be like. So another mainstream book on the Indie Comics and Reviews.
I'm locked in on that one too, man. I thought it was really good, and I don't know anything I know literally nothing about Martian Manhunter. So this is an entry level thing for me.
Yeah, so I know more than you then, huh? Hey, he's green and he's from Mars. Yeah, I think only that I know that from watching probably some DC cartoon when he was on, but I've never read any of his books at all. There's a lot of flashbacks in the Flash thing. Flashbacks.
I haven't read that one yet. I gotta get to that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. I mean, all the Absolute books have been good so far, but I like this one better. Absolute Martian Manhunter.
What's your favorite one?
Still Batman. I'm sticking with Batman, but
that's my least favorite one.
I know.
My favorite one's Wonder Woman.
Yeah, Wonder Woman's very good too.
A lot of people say Superman.
I gotta catch up on Superman. That maybe I'll change my mind when I catch up on Superman with this new issue here.
Martian Manhunter has a chance. It has a chance.
It does have if it's the next issue. Usually the second issue is make or break, and they're usually better. So the second issue is better. Then look out, Batman and Wonder Woman. This is one that we both were looking forward to, and we will know from the writer and the author, which is a great cartoonist, Patrick Horvath.
Sold out, going to second print. I saw that today.
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. Free for All by Patrick Horvath, the creator of Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. This is a very different book. One that it is a one shot, which I do love one shots. First of all, but I don't know if I mentioned that before on this channel, but I do love one shots. With Beneath the Trees, you had a chance to build this character and build this whole little homey universe of anthropomorphic animals who one of them is a murderer. You had a chance, and the shock at the end of the first issue, for spoiler, where it's shown that character is a murderer who travels to different towns and kills people and comes back like nothing happened. But this one, as he talks about in the back matter, this was a project that he worked on before Beneath the Trees. And because of the success of Beneath the Trees, he was able to bring this one to fruition. And this is a futuristic, in the future, what if all of a sudden greed is no longer good and all billionaires and trillionaires are forced in a random lottery every year to have to either give up half of their entire net worth or go and do battle for your life in the arena. And believe it or not, a lot of people would rather do battle for their fucking life in an arena than give up money they would never ever spend. So that's what happens. Because the crazy thing is, these people are so damn rich, they'll never spend that money. All their children will never spend that money. But it's just it's the sickness that people don't address, because it seems like everyone wants to be rich. So what's wrong with wanting to be rich? What's wrong with you communists, socialists? So I don't go down to that road too much, but let's just accept that this world exists. In this world, there's this arena, and they call it they call this thing the free for all that is exacted in arenas. And there's one guy named Ted who is just one of the richest men in the world. Ted has decided that, you know what, I'm going to fight. And Ted is undefeated. Ted is like 22 or something like that victories. He's just like, just knocking them down, man. He's the king of the arena. And in the beginning, there's this poor schmuck who wouldn't give up half of his little fortune. And he goes in there, he's just like toast against Ted. He doesn't have a chance. So eventually, there's this other woman who is also a billionaire. And it turns out she is Ted's ex-business partner and his former lover. So it was just inevitable at some point that it would get down to her. She's going to have to fight Ted in the arena. You might say, like, what chance would she have against this undefeated guy? Well, they're using like all kinds of other like tricks and gizmos and armors and things like that. So she would have a decent chance against him. And plus, she trained with some world-class athletes and such like that. But there's bad blood between these two, as you might imagine, because Ted fucked her over and took the fortune, but she's been able to build herself another fortune back up from her, I guess more or less health and fitness, and not fitness, but health management type of business that she's also become very successful with. So I guess she takes the thing just so she can have her revenge against Ted, because she probably would have donated her money, because you can live quite comfortably off that money that you have. But this is a personal thing now, and it's about the eventual and inevitable conflict, or I should confrontation, between Ted and his ex in the arena. I won't tell you who won, but it was a very good fight, and this is a good follow-up to Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, because he already had it in the can. It was ready to go. He's probably working on something right now that's maybe like a serialized version of not of something, but of similar to Beneath the Trees, because that kind of a series really, I think it hits home if you have it into like 4 or 5 parts, 6 parts, something like that. But this is one shot is a really good placeholder, and it it gets his name back out there, and it gets this project that he probably may not have seen daylight if not for his success with the other series. So yeah, I recommend Free for All. Absolutely, man. This is a fun book to read, especially if you're a anti-capitalist like I am. For sure, pick it up. Yeah, that's right, Jose. He's loving that too. Yeah, and you only wish that were real, because it's if if billionaires weren't rich, they would just be people living in a house with newspapers stacked up to the ceiling. It's a different kind of hoarding, is all that is. In my opinion, billionaires and God forbid, trillionaires should not even exist, because nobody becomes a billionaire by being fair. I mean, you fucked somebody over. You fucked many people over, in fact, to get those billions. Even if you inherited it. I mean, your daddy did it. Just there's no way to become that filthy rich and not just be a complete bad person. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion.
There's no single good billionaires. I don't know if I believe that.
Oh, well, some may, like maybe Bill Gates has had Warren Buffett. They've had second thoughts about, maybe I should give something back. But you don't see Elmo saying that shit. There's Elmo, like the richest man in the world, taking money away from old people and starving children. What's up with that? That's a sickness, man. That's not healthy. I mean, you think if I was the richest man in the world, I wouldn't have a care in the damn world. I'd be, hey, how you doing? I'm trying to see how I can make life better on this planet. But instead, more for me. And that's just a greedy sickness to me. It's a greedy disease. Fried chicken pox. Anyway.
Greed is good.
Greed is LL Cool J shout out if you get that one. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. What if
That's okay, Phil. We'll allow that.
For $1 billion. If I ever got $1 billion, man, at my age, especially the odds of $1 billion to 1, I would probably give most of, not give it back, but I would just probably use it to help the world. I would just make programs, make scholarships, and make things that can make the world a better place, rather than just like living in this giant mausoleum that's way too big for me, and just so I can impress people and say, like, look what I got. But hey, absolute power corrupts absolutely. For real. But nothing wrong with making money and stuff like that, but there's a certain point where you just can't spend all that, man. I mean, what are you doing? What are we doing here?
What are you doing, man?
What are we doing? The Bronx Gandhi. For real, man. I must wear a robe and some sandals and just chill all day long. All right, the next book is this was also a penultimate book from a couple of weeks ago, from the creative team, one of the guys in the creative team that we love from what's the furthest place from here, Matthew Rosenberg. And is written by Matthew Rosenberg with art by Stefano Landini. And that is, of course, we're taking everyone down with us with this very cool B cover here that I love so much.
That is a great cover.
It is, man. It's like a 1 in 50 I would love to get, but a little too steep. This is just good enough for me right here. It's just very, very cool. All right, so there's this little girl, and she has a dad who's a famous scientist, right? He's like the guy that works all day long. I guess the mom is deceased, and she's in his custody now, and he's created these robots because he's a very busy man, and he's working night and day, trying to make, I guess, not the world better, definitely make himself more prolific. And he's created these robots, this team of robots that take care of her. And the robots have his sentience, his personality in them. And she's playing hide and seek with these robots. It's just so not fair because they've got all these, these things that these sensors and stuff that can find her no matter what. So they're just kind of like humoring the little kid because the dad is too busy. And he's just a terrible dad. I mean, he just talks to her like, don't stop doing all these childish things. Dude, I'm a fucking child. Let me be a kid. He just won't let her be a child. And one day she stumbles upon this guy as she goes in this room she's not supposed to go into, being held captive. Like, what the fuck's going on? Like, Daddy, who the hell is this? Why are you trying to tell me to please let me go, little girl? and he's pissed off that the dad is pissed off that she's discovered it. But he just says that, well, he's a very bad man, and I'm doing the world a favor by keeping this guy here. So it turns out this guy, before they're able to lock him back down and probably do God knows what to him, I think they actually took the guy out. He's gone. He activated this tracking device that was able to contact the world's greatest spy, who is in a hotel getting busy with what he believes is Miss January from Playboy, whatever. And okay, the world's greatest spy is right away contacted by this agency saying, dude, get your pants on, got a job for you, because this dude just sent out a message and he's in trouble. World's greatest spy goes into action, and they spoil a lot of the stuff even in the description. So I'm not spoiling anything by saying this, but world's greatest spy goes after her dad and just drops a bomb on the facility. So what's going to happen, looks like, is that the robots are going to be left, and the dad's going to be gone, and the little girl is going to, I don't know if she's going to seek revenge on the world's greatest spy or not, her and the robots, but it sure looks like that. And this is very cool. On the back, it has the name of the organization that the world's greatest spy works for, I believe. Because I'm not sure if her dad, I think her dad's probably was a bad guy, or maybe that's not to be. You get to determine who is the bad guy here. Maybe there's degrees of there's shades of gray.
It's
maybe,
always more fun that way.
Yes, because in the world, no matter how bad someone is, there's always some trait about that person that might not be so bad.
Like a billionaire, maybe,
perhaps. but sometimes their traits heavily weigh to one side more so than the other. So but there's still, what I'm saying, like, well, I see their point on this one, but you're still an asshole. So both things can be true. So this is where this is anything, and I believe it will be, because Rosenberg is a great writer.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm looking for this to be a good ride, just like What's the Furthest Place. So
that cover looks awesome, dude. I love that cover.
This should have been the A cover, man. This is just so awesome. We're taking everyone down with us. Number one, man. I'm down with this. I'm down with this, and so should you if you're a fan of those books I mentioned, even if you're not. All right, got a bunch here. I think was that 3 so far? 2, 3? I lost count. Anyway, the last one is Kids. This is a giant size magazine, perfect bound format book here. It's written by Garth Ennis and illustrated by Dalibor Haljik. I want to say that's how you pronounce the person's name there.
You're still an asshole.
Perhaps. Well, even an asshole can be right twice a day, like a broken clock or something. So Kids, one shot. I think this is from the Ninth Circle imprint on Image. Image is so fucking awesome. They have these. The Ninth Circle is just a series of one shots they're gonna be doing every month. I guess it's their answer to the Distillery thing. Maybe Distillery should have done that too. I would have liked Distillery better if it had been like, but they're only like 3 issues. I think maybe 2 or 3 issues, most of the story arcs. But anyway, I digress. Kids is a one shot, and it takes place in this suburban community where I guess we focus on the parents of the kids in this suburban. It takes place all over the world. This is an event that it happens like out of the blue. Like one night, all the children under, I think it was like maybe a year, 1 year of age, all of a sudden grow up and become big grown ass babies. And what you got is not just adults, but you got an adult, like a 6 foot, 250 pound man who just burst out of his crib like the Hulk, and it just becomes a problem. And in the communities where there's plenty of babies, which is all over the world, the babies just start rampaging. It's like, what the hell is happening? People say, oh, what you done with my baby? I mean, my baby is, you know, a big naked motherfucker running around like, feed me, crapping themselves and stuff. And it's just a nightmare for people. They can't even accept that their little sweet little newborns have become these raging creatures or whatever the hell they are. So this couple, they take their one kid who's like about 6 or 7 years old. This young youngster, and they get in the car and just take off. And meanwhile, the neighbor next door, who's this old lady, I think she's like an old MAGA Trumper or something, and they always talked about it like, oh, she's just a witch, she's just an evil old woman. She jumps in the car and said, go, 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 and then they just take off and said, don't worry about the kid. The kid is a grown man now. He'll take care of himself. And they go to the hospital where people just have fled. I mean, the streets are empty because the cops have gone home because their kids are freaking out and fuck the world. I'm going to take care of my kid. And the hospitals are pretty much empty because everyone is freaked out. And they end up there. And unfortunately, you know what's in the hospital, right? Maternity ward. So the maternity ward, all the kids are fucking freaked out. They're giant, and it's just a crazy fucking, you know, thing going on there. And it was intense. It was completely intense, and it's kind of a look. I can see Ennis kind of like using this as a platform to talk about through the old woman and through the parents, as how some parents feel like they have special rights because I have a kid, I can do this, and I can butt you in line, or I can just, like, you know, just do all these things because I just assume that parents get, because everybody's a parent, everybody's going to just defer to the parent. And whereas people who don't have children, they don't get those rights. And the old woman was talking about that, and it's just it raised a conversation about, you know, having children and not having children. And once that the dilemma is resolved, you left with those thoughts. So I won't say how the dilemma is resolved, but I think this is a lot of these things brought up in this book are worth examining. And kids, Garth Ennis is back on it, man. He's not just doing, like, you know, violence for violence sake and using his own voice pretty much it's like as an Irish accent. Oh, it's totally just Garth talking. But this is a well thought out and a very good one shot. Kids, man, from Image Comics. That's I recommend you pick that up, man. There's a lot of stuff to think about in there. Yep. And that is.
Hey, don't forget to subscribe and leave a thumbs up.